and welcome to our webcast today, Advanced SCADA Tools for a New Decade. Presenting today will be Mark Hepburn, a VP of Worldwide Sales, and Jotham Kilday, who is our Solution Sales Engineering Team Lead. Before I kick things off to them, I'd just like to go over a few housekeeping rules. My name is Amanda Gordon, and I'm the Senior Marketing Programs Manager here at Iconix. And right now, you are in a listen-only mode. And throughout the webcast, if you have any questions, you can either type them into the question and answer feature on your GoToWebinar panel, or you can email us at webcast@iconix.com. With that, I will turn things over first to Mark.
Well, hello, and thank you very much, Amanda. It's fabulous to start off this new webcast series. Much appreciated that you all have joined. We've had record turnout, and we certainly hope that you and yours are staying healthy in this unique and challenging time that we're facing worldwide. So as we're kicking off this new webcast series, we have so much to talk about. This first one is Advanced SCADA Tools for a New Decade, and we have weekly, even twice weekly, webcasts on our new version 10.96 update 1. You may recall that we had our Worldwide Customer Summit planned, as so many other companies have done. We've had to postpone it. The Worldwide Customer Summit was planned for the last week in March, first week in April, so we postponed that till October and look forward to seeing as many as possible there. So please join us. So a little bit first about Iconix. Iconix is headquartered in Foxborough, Massachusetts. We have recently, in August, become a unit of the Mitsubishi Electric Company, which has given us tremendous opportunities to scale out our solutions, and we'll be talking about that throughout the webcast series. We are in over 100 countries with partners. We're a partner-led organization. Almost all of our business is through partners of various sorts, our valued distributors and representatives and systems integrators, value-added resellers, and original equipment manufacturers. Thank you all. I know many of you are on the webcast today. You're what makes Iconix work and brings so many solutions to life. Over 375,000 solutions installed, licenses since Iconix was founded in 1986. That's a lot of software running critical applications in so many industries, whether it's in smart buildings, manufacturing on the plant floor and process, in power, water, utilities, public infrastructure. You will see Iconix software everywhere. And we continue to invest in our technology. And of course, we're very proud of Microsoft's recognition of Iconix as a top-tier integrator. In fact, 6 times in the last several years, Iconix has been named a Global Partner of the Year. 6 times, because our software helps enable the digital transformation and brings operations to life, whether that's in automotive or building, food and beverage, in government. So many critical applications running Iconix software in facilities and monitoring the actual systems in the government. Manufacturing, we see plant floor, oil and gas, super important segment for us, and we're building out tremendous new tools for oil and gas. Across the industries and heavy stuff like mining, in very high precision, very document intensive applications like in pharmaceutical, sustainability. Great new applications in transportation. We're in hundreds of airports around the world, and most recently some very interesting applications in LaGuardia Airport, San Francisco Airport. We've upgraded in airports across Germany, utilities, and energy and water. So you'll see Iconix everywhere. And why? Why? Because Iconix has a very consistent, reliable, scalable platform. Scalable from the smallest application to the largest global application to capture data from virtually any environment, to integrate that data to provide the context that we need and visualize it across virtually any device, and talk to other systems in reporting and integration across platforms. And we do that with a series of products, all built on the same platform services. One system with several modules. So Genesis 64 is our flagship brand name, and it includes our graphics, GraphWorks, advanced graphics, 2D and 3D. And we broadcast those through HTML5 or Advanced Windows Presentation Foundation, the clients, self-service dashboards, of course, asset management. That's managing the whole fleet of assets that you have in your environment, trending, alarming. Our HyperHistorian, which has tremendous scaling and capabilities. One HyperHistorian server on a typical machine can handle up to 250,000 samples per second. And it is a distributed architecture, so you can have many HyperHistorians working in tandem and in a parent-child relationship. We've built out several horizontal and vertical analytics solutions with more to come, and IoT is a solution that we've brought to manufacturing and the plant floor with both build-it-yourself capabilities and the ability to build out your own SaaS platform. So a SaaS-ready platform, we'll talk a little bit more about how we're empowering people at the edge and in the cloud with IoT Works. From the edge to the cloud in one platform. That's a scalable solution with edge solutions with IoT Works, including edge visualization with our graphics and KPI Works directly at the edge. Our Genesis 64 with desktop or server computers, client server, of course. Once you get to Genesis 64, you have client server, web HMI, and mobile HMI capabilities. And then enterprise integration with a distributed architecture all the way up to the cloud. One common platform, one code base for visualization, command control, historian, event handling, analytics. That's open and secure interoperability. So we believe very strongly in open, secure communications for controllers of all types. But in this world, that's not enough to talk to operational intelligence, OT, the PLCs and distributed control systems. We have to create context with the IT, the information technologies that are what we build and how much we build and how all the design aspects of product lifecycle management, manufacturing execution systems, ERP, enterprise asset management, that's the work orders, the customer relations management, all the ticketing systems, and other MIS systems. So bringing these together to connect the IT and OT platforms, to contextualize, analyze, historize, and of course, visualize those that data in the context of the individual worker across the enterprise is where Iconix has brought its products. And easy for us to now become this information broker between systems. And of course, in today's world, visualization on thin clients, on the devices that we bring to work is paramount. Iconix is one of the leaders in web HMI and mobile HMI. In fact, those are our brands. We introduced them to the market back in the early 2000s. And now they're the standard, right? So whether it's 2D or advanced 3D visualization on the desktop in the browser, mobile with augmented reality, mixed reality, virtual reality, all developed from one platform. And then we deploy from the Iconix Workbench and GraphWorks out to any of these devices. So we've got one code base to manage in a project. Of course, that visualization gets extended out to our clients with a number of other components. On the development side, we use .NET objects. So so all of these objects are .NET objects, whether it be graphics, in graphics, layers, or alarms or trends, visualizing data from databases, including the Iconix databases with GridWorks, our self-service analytics BI, layers of maps with assets on the maps, or navigating using our graphical asset navigator, energy, fault detection diagnostics, KPI works. All of these capabilities get brought together for our clients, and we'll see how those are used in some of the demos that Jotham is going to show. In order to connect all that data, we rely on open protocols like OPC. Iconix is one of the founders of the OPC Foundation. We helped we actually wrote the original alarm and events code and continue to be on the board of directors of the OPC Foundation. BACnet, so important for connecting building automation systems. Modbus, which is one of the first open protocols, which we support natively as a plug-in manager. SNMP to connect to the network devices. And now, so importantly, REST and MQTT to connect to the information systems and IoT, all connecting those islands of automation, all of those control systems into a single software platform for a unified single pane of glass view into operations, whether that's 2 machines, 10 machines, 2 factories, 10 factories, or buildings across the world together in a single platform for information command control and optimization. But that's not quite enough in today's world to be able to connect into a single pane of glass on premises or in a data center. We need to be thinking about how we reach across operations and leverage the cloud. And Iconix has invested a great deal in cloud-ready solutions with IoT, lifting securely the control system loads into Iconix or other applications in the cloud with a very simple software application called IoT Works. So IoT Works connects the on-premises systems quite simply to the cloud. I'll talk a little bit more about IoT Works in the coming slides, but it's so important as we think about leveraging the commercial computing infrastructure that is evolving around the world for managing our operations, whether it's simply for visualization on mobile devices or for more advanced applications where we're doing intelligence like artificial intelligence in the cloud, machine learning, or expert systems, tying into our information systems, etc., all with simple application, IoT Works. So IoT Works takes a slice of the Iconix system and puts it on a very low-cost edge application. We run in the Azure IoT Edge platform on a Linux system or other systems like Ubuntu, a Raspberry. And so we take the core connectivity systems and then connect directly to the cloud where we can do other things with the software. So visualization, command and control, analytics, alarm management, or simply push to other applications directly from IoT Works onto other systems in the cloud, and with local visualization. So we have our KPI Works directly on the cloud. That's secure with transport layer security, TLS, certificates, X509 certificates, leveraging the device ID direct to cloud. We have a very modular and scalable solution. So in our platform services, which I mentioned, cut across all of our software, a wide variety of tools to aggregate and manage and shape the information. And then application servers we discussed to visualize command control for alarm management, etc., and then to push out to any device. So that platform service is in IoTWorks and across all of our applications. Importantly, when you're trying to manage distributed assets, you need to be able to organize that data and bring in the metadata that exists in our system, whether that metadata is about alarms or historical data or around the actual applications that are associated with that asset. Could be Iconix applications. It could be information around maintenance or procurement. And we can use this AssetWorks to cache and organize data across massive systems, or just a couple of systems in your factory together, so that we can organize and then visualize and manage with the Asset Navigator as a front end. The HyperHistorian, which is high speed, 250,000 changes per second, distributed, flexible, open architecture, fully integrated with AssetWorks. We have very nice visualization with our TrendWorks visualization. Of course, you can use HyperHistorian in a tier of other historians, because HyperHistorian is both an HDA client and an OPC HDA server. And we can cascade HyperHistorian to HyperHistorian and talk to data lakes with native Azure data lake or other data lakes like Hadoop. So part of a hot data, warm data, cold data architecture, HyperHistorian scales quite well. We introduced this in 2009 and continue to invest tremendously in this HyperHistorian. When we have data locked in silos, each system with their own visualization, it's difficult to create the insights that we need. So we've created a tool we call Analytics BI, which allows us to connect together the systems in the Iconix platform and any other database to relate the data fields and then quickly visualize. Jotham is going to show an example of that in the demo. And then he'll do that with the front end part of Analytics BI, where we have a Power BI kind of interface. Very clickable, self-service, build your own dashboard, sort online reporting, outstanding tool with Analytics BI. And then, of course, KPI Works by itself can be any GraphWorks object. Again, do it yourself visualization for the people using the system. We have a new tool we're very excited about, introduced in December, called CFS Works, Connected Field Service Worker. This allows us to synchronize with the system that knows who's working, Active Directory, so Windows Active Directory, or Azure Active Directory, and with work order systems, CMMS or EAM systems, like Microsoft Dynamics, with native out-of-the-box integration with Dynamics, Salesforce, and then we can do integrations with work order systems like Maximo, etc. This allows the worker to visualize the alarms or faults in the systems, to accept or pass on those alarms, and with the Azure Active Directory and escalation, we know who is closest and best trained to manage the system. And of course, we've got mobile HMI and expert systems that allow us to verify whether people have received the message, to respond to it, and then interact with others. We can talk to Genesis or mobile HMI with our voice machine interface, with native integrations for Alexa, with the Google system with Cortana, and with the ability to build directly in IoT with the Lewis system. So lots there, tremendous tools. Of course, you're going to need training. We've built our customer connection portal to connect you to the learning environment. We have a technical support system, that broad systems integrator program. We rely very heavily on our systems integrators, and our own professional services team that are the experts that help train those integrators and help the end users to imagine, architect, and deploy the systems as they're being brought into concept. So thanks very much for that. I'd like to turn it over to Jotham Kildea now to visualize some of the demos that you yourself can see on Iconix online demo systems. And please, Jotham, take it away. Thank you, Jotham.
All right, thank you, Mark. So as Mark said, there's a lot of different industries and a lot of different applications we've been in over the years. So I don't really suppose it's possible to show you guys everything that we've got. So I just wanted to pick out a few of them that I can show you today. Can't really go into all the detail on that, but throughout the course of this webcast series, I hope that just about everything you see today as far as how it's done, how it's built in the system will be covered. So I'll definitely kind of call back to that as we need to. So one of the first ones I find is an interesting project myself is working with the airport systems. They're very complicated, integrated systems. You have to have a high degree of availability to provide comfort to people in terminals. It's a high stress environment sometimes for doing these things. So it's a very interesting application to be integrated into. This is an example of our AnyGlass Web HMI. So this is HTML5 running in a web browser. I've got a few tabs open here today, but they're all kind of similar technology being used for that deployment, using GeoSCADA application to look at the particular airport information, seeing details, seeing alarms being presented to the user. When we're working with these types of applications, we see some different types of needs. In this case, they're looking at availability and access to the system. So we need to be able to figure out how to present that to the user in meaningful ways. So we come up with different things. This is using the grid control on the top and then the data diagram on the bottom. This is a newer control. This one's been around with us for a few versions now. How do we present the data to the user so they see, are they load balancing their gates properly to make sure that they're making good use of the space within the airport? They can use this to predict congestion in the airport, keep everybody moving smoothly. Maybe they need to reroute or plan things better so that they can have more efficient flow throughout the airport. I should just pause and say that everything you're going to see in my demos here is from some real project that we've worked on in the past. We've obviously kind of genericized a lot of content and changed some things around to protect that, but a lot of what you see here is real applications that we've kind of picked and chosen from in different projects. So I guess the note of that is that anything you see here, talk to us, we can talk about how that would be delivered in the real world. Other things that they use, this is kind of a summary view that's becoming increasingly popular for us to do in a lot of dashboards. This is great for a high-level visibility into the system. Particularly this, usually we have 20, 30 different systems connected. They all have a slightly different way of thinking about interacting with the data. So something at a high level like this is a common approach to how do we summarize that for somebody using the system to quickly drill into and see where are their problem areas, what do they need to focus on to, get done when they need to get done. Like I said, airports are interesting. They got a lot of different systems going on. Baggage handling is one of them. This is something that we've done some projects with where you integrate the monitoring of the equipment on a baggage handling conveyor system beneath the airport. If you watch closely when this display loads, an interesting feature of this one is actually this display was from a project where it was entirely auto-generated content. So essentially when you load the display, this display will reach out to our AssetWorks tree, has a library of all the different assets, those conveyor systems, the scanners, the equipment moving things around on the conveyor, all our assets within our AssetWorks tree. This display is auto-generated from that data. So particularly for complicated systems like this or equipment where it's configurable, it's not always in the same place, you need to move things around from time to time, you want the SCADA visualization to keep up with that. And so we're coming up with solutions for how would you make that dynamic so that you're not just spending all your time constantly re-engineering your SCADA screens to be close and up to date, that this could be dynamically generated from auto-configured assets. Of course, most of airports, they're focused on figuring out how to get people moved around. Elevators are one that we look at a lot, looking at elevator systems for monitoring, not only for accessibility, they have to be concerned about ADA compliance in the US or around the world. They have to be aware of how people can smoothly move to the airport. So do a lot of integration with elevator systems to see the status, see the control, take overrides, and then do resets on the system as needed. And then show you the terminal system. And of course, this is more traditional to what we're familiar with using for a lot of building control systems, looking at lighting, temperature, comfort within the space. Of course, these are things that are more, I guess, standard. A lot of times we're talking to these through backnet systems that we can bring in the data and show that in a visualization to the operators. So I wanted to jump to my next tab, where I was showing some of projects we did recently in the oil and gas space. So I want to show this one because it's a very good contrast to talk about capability of visualization. In the oil and gas industry, it's very common to have an interest in what's called a high-performance SCADA visualization, where, as you can see, things are very bland or a neutral tone. There's not a lot of color being used. Where color is being used,
boring?
I'm sorry, go ahead, Mark.
Did you say boring?
I believe I said bland or neutral, but I think the intention is that the normal operations of systems is not meant to attract your eye, but you can see on this display very plainly, I can see where there's a medium priority and a critical priority alarm within these different pieces of equipment. So I'll show that with a lot of what's like the surface equipment that supports upstream oil well production. So this is all the pumping and terminal systems. You can see from here a lot of gray because most things under normal operations are not going to be of concern, but I can pretty plainly see when something is out of the ordinary, and I can go click into that, see what's going on in the system. Immediately I'm drawn to what do I need to do next? I can click in here, see the status of this equipment, see what's going on, and address that directly. So we're using this in a lot of different places. This is also used for individual wells. So if I look at like this would be standard visualization. This might be a good application where IoT would be getting involved. A lot of these wells are typically very remote. So we'd be putting an IoT gateway out in the field. Maybe it's got a cellular or radio connection that is gathering data locally, packaging it up, and efficiently sending it on up to a centralized or cloud environment. So previously, a lot of this data was trapped down on site, and you'd only be able to get to if you're there in the field. We're doing a lot of projects now, bringing that data to the corporate network. Everybody can have access to it and benefit from that data within the system. So doing a lot of interesting stuff in there. The last one I wanted to show you was actually a KPI Works display. So again, still HTML5 rendering. This is just our KPI Works environment and dashboard for design. I'm going to show you something that we've done for discrete manufacturing. So doing a couple of things. One is analysis of the availability and downtime that you see here. So in this application, we had a few different lines running similar processes, and they wanted to be able to see performance between different lines and seeing what are their most common problems. A pretty standard request in the manufacturing space. So in this case, we can see different lines, we can see their total uptime, and then planned versus unplanned downtime within the time range. And then also see aggregate analysis by cause and duration of those events here. This is a raw data grid that we can look at what the individual events were logged in the database. So, simple enough dashboard to create. I think what adds a lot of value to this is that because we've routed all of this data through our Analytics BI engine, it's dynamically configurable from runtime. So from this dashboard, I can start using and playing around with these filters here. So maybe if I see there's a lot of unplanned downtime in line 3 and line 2, so I'll just go ahead and select those. You can see I filtered to those lines. I can now see which proportion of the actual downtime causes are attributed to line 2 and 3. So I can see clearly there's a lot of motor faults. In fact, pretty much all of them are related to those 2 lines. That might be something to look at. I can also look specifically unplanned fault time. And you can see I've filtered it down now. And of course, with more data, I could go further into the analysis of looking by shift, looking by maybe what batch or what process it was doing when these downtime events occurred. Because I've routed all the data through Analytics BI, I can cross-correlate between all those sets of data and give a convenient way for the operator to drill down into them. It doesn't have to be a predefined view that looks at a specific analysis of the data. You're free to adjust that in runtime as you need. We also do some things. This is a little bit closer to what you might do for like an overhead and-on. You're not doing a lot of clicking and analysis, but you'd be able to have a high-level view of several different machines. These are symbols that we've built in GraphWorks and imported into KPIWorks just to give it a little bit of a customized flair to how it looks. But being able to look at individual equipment, see the status, and if there's any higher priority alarms, those are being driven into here. So within this, I think you'll see a lot of things that are familiar to users of Iconix. We have obviously content built in GraphWorks. We have the alarm integration, data logging, and then we've increasingly been adding in these new things that Mark was talking about. So the BI engine, KPIWorks, some of the cloning and efficiency tools that are within the software now, and a lot more to do with auto configuration and getting away from manual design and moving towards a model where it's much more dynamic and flexible, because a lot of these applications are increasingly changing and adapting over time. So that's what I want to cover today. I think, Mark, I will turn it back over to you. Yeah, like I said, guys, I look forward to showing you how all of this stuff is done in more detail later on in this webcast series.
Thank you very much for that excellent overview of those few projects. And you can see a wide variety of visualization from dynamic information broker in the airports to the high-performance SCADA applications in oil and gas, and using Analytics BI, as we saw just here now with self-service dashboards.
Thank you very much for that informative presentation. Let me switch to my screen here and show you my conclusion slides. Okay, and now I'd like to talk to you about the Iconix Worldwide Customer Summit Transform 360. We recently rescheduled this in-person event to May 4th through 7th, 2021 at Foxwoods Resort and Casino in Connecticut. If you already signed up for the event and you'd signed up for the previous dates, we've just moved your registration already to the new dates, so no action needed on your part. If you haven't already signed up, I encourage you to do so. This event is going to be bigger and better in 2021. We have a number of exciting guest speakers lined up, as well as compelling demos to show you. If you register by April 19th, you can do so at iconix.com/transform360. We have a number of promotions that we put up on our social media pages from time to time, including complimentary registration promo codes. So I encourage you to follow us on social so you can see those and sign up. I really hope to see you all there at this live in-person event. I'd also like to share with you a number of on-demand webcast recordings that we have available at iconix.com/webcast. If you've enjoyed today's webcast, you can see the other topics that we have covered this year. And not only do we have these North American webcasts, but we also have a number of international versions as well.
So we'll take questions offline given the time. I want to thank you very much. We will have a preview of things to come with our version 10.9.6 in an upcoming webcast. Thanks again to everybody. Please stay safe, social distancing and all that, and wish you and your families very well in this unique and challenging time.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you, Jotham, and thank you all for attending this record-breaking attendance here. As Mark's mentioned, we will take questions offline. We've gotten a lot of them. If you email us at webcast@iconix.com, I will assure that we will answer all of those questions. One thing I do want to let you know is this webcast was recorded, and we will share the recording with you after the webcast. Thank you, everyone.